Alright, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be going over my February TBR, which I know I'm a little late to the game. It is currently February 9th, so we're already about a third of the way through, really more than that because February is a short month. But anyways, I wanted to do a February TBR. I've already finished up a few books in February, but I won't go over those. I'll probably save those for like at the end of the month or beginning of next month as kind of like a wrap up. What did I read? What did I get through on my TBR? But anyways, without further ado, let's go over some of the books I'm hoping to read this month and I'm currently reading. I don't think it's overly ambitious, but I'll let you guys decide. So first off, let's start off with the books I'm currently reading. I'm about a third of the way through Dust of Dreams. And I am someone who, I describe it as book ADD, which I know is probably not the best term, but I bounce around a lot, especially when I'm reading Malazan. I try and keep things lighter on my other books, as you know, based on some of my other reviews. And just to keep things different, keep things fresh when I'm really grinding through a series. I find that it does help to kind of break up. Malazan is not monotonous, but just kind of give my mind a break while I'm still reading, because it is what I love to do in my free time. So yeah, I'm about a third of the way through Dust of Dreams, hoping to get through, well, I will get through definitely before the end of the month. And then I was thinking about trying to grind out and read Crippled God after this, but I think I might save that, and if it happens, it happens, but not place any more added pressure to finish the series, kind of just enjoy it. And if I, wrap up Crippled God in March, it's no sweat off my back. So that is the plan for Malazan right now. Probably when I do finish the series. I know I haven't been reviewing these books on the channel at all. That's mainly because when I started the channel, I had already read 5 or 6 of them. So I didn't want to really jump in and start doing reviews on a series that's, I'm halfway through. And maybe at some point, I do want to do a reread, so I'll probably, when I decide to finally do that reread is when I'll review book by book. But definitely when I wrap up the series, I'll do a whole series review on it. But what I'll say here is these books are amazing. It's probably my favorite series. If you asked me that 4 books ago, I probably would have said Memories of Ice is the third one. It's probably the best book I've ever read in my life. But I wouldn't have said that it was the best series, but just the sheer investment. It's almost like, if you guys play video games at all, I play a lot of League, so League of Legends. And that's a game where when you first jump in and start, you have no idea what's going on, you're going to feel overwhelmed, and it's not going to be any fun because you're going to be terrible more than likely. Same thing with like a WoW or something, World of Warcraft. You really need to kind of invest the time into it to really reap the rewards, and that's how I describe Malazan. Yeah, the first few books are good, but then you really start reaping the rewards later on in the series, and you kind of have that early gem in Memories of Ice, and that is just an incredible, incredible book. I can't recommend enough. So those are my brief thoughts on Malazan. So like I said, I'm about a third of the way through Dust of Dreams, which is the 9th installment in that series. And then finally, I'll probably make a video on this, but I have a complicated relationship with this book. If you can't see it, it's The Stand by Stephen King, obviously. It's a book that I've been not trying to finish for a year, but I put down at the start of the virus. I didn't want to read a pandemic book during an actual pandemic. I'm not someone who, that didn't thrill, it just wasn't my idea of relaxing, time. So now that we're kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, I went to revisit it, and I had read the first 400 pages, and this copy is about 1,200 pages. So I read about the first 400 pages 6 or 7 months ago. I'm finally finishing it up. I have about a quarter left. I'll probably wrap it up here in the next few days. Overall, very, very good read so far. Obviously, it's one of King's best works, so I'm really enjoying it, but I'll save the full reviews for the full review videos. And then next up is Terry Pratchett, Mort. This is the only other book I'm in the middle of reading, so I have 3 going on right now. I'm about a little less than halfway done with this, but if you guys can't tell, there's a cover for you. But it's really short read. It's only 230 pages. So just something, like I said, when I've got two heavy books in the Stand and Dust of Dreams going on right now, and I've been using Discworld as just a palate cleanser. They're so fun. If you haven't read any Discworld, would highly, highly recommend it for the sheer just, turn your brain off, fun, entertaining, little, interesting stories. They're not like slapstick to the point where you don't care about any of the characters or you don't care what's going on, you're just there for a laugh. The stories keep you invested while keeping it lighthearted. So I can't recommend Terry Pratchett's Discworld enough. And then kind of on that same note, and what I'm doing with Discworld as kind of my palate cleansers, I'm hoping to just read 2 or 3 of these a month, kind of, like I said, as palate cleansers. So the second Discworld for the month on the docket is Reaper Man. I got this cool copy from a used bookstore I'm a big fan of. So yeah, and this one's a little bit longer. It's about 315 pages, but like I said, another light read. And my kind of the structure I have going right now that seems to be working is for my palate cleansers. I'm doing Discworld and Dresden Files, and I'm kind of doing 2 or 3 Discworld a month, and then my plan is to do 1 or 2 Dresden while I work through Malazan and maybe some heavier books like The Stand or anything like that. So just a couple more on the docket. So like I was saying, I'm using Discworld and Dresden Files as my palate cleanser. And then, so the only other Dresden I'm planning on reading, or the only Dresden I'm planning on reading this month, is Summer Night, which is the first installment in Dresden Files. And from what I hear, this is when it really starts to expand and feel a little bit more than just a mystery novel set in an urban fantasy setting. Nothing against the first 3 books, but from what I hear from other reviews, Summer Night is kind of where it starts to take that turn a little bit more seriously. So I'm looking forward to that. And then kind of going on more of the Stephen King as I throw down a book. I'm sorry, Robin Hobb. We will get to you in a moment, but just going on more of the Stephen King. The only King I've read is The Shining, which was last year. Then I started The Stand. And last year was kind of one of my goals was to read more King, and I'm continuing on that this year. So I want to finish The Stand, and if you guys know anything, this isn't really a spoiler. So I'm going to read Gunslinger, which is the first installment in the Dark Tower series. But The Stand ties nicely into the Dark Tower, so I wanted to get that under my belt first before I jumped into the Dark Tower. And I was almost pleasantly surprised. I picked this up a few days ago, and I touched on it in my book haul video. But I thought Gunslinger was way longer than this, but it looks like to be a nice quick, I don't know if I'll call it easy yet because I haven't read it, but a nice quick read nonetheless, which is, like I said, I'm grinding through Malazan and finally finishing The Stand, so I am looking. I love a good epic fantasy, long book, but when I'm not reading Malazan, I'm trying to keep it on the lighter side. So that's the story behind that. And then maybe I have more on my TBR than I expected, but these will probably be towards the end of the month that I'm hoping to squeeze in, but that's Morningstar. I did just post my review on Golden Sun. If you haven't seen that, I'd recommend go checking it out. That's only if you've read the first installment in Pierce Brown's Red Rising trilogy. So I'm excited to get to this one. The ending of Golden Sun kind of blew me away. So I'm really excited to see the direction Brown takes it. So looking forward to this one. And then last but not least, one, maybe it's a bit ambitious, but I might not get to, and that is Ship of Magic, which is Robin Hobb's first installment of the Live Ship Trader series. This series, I kind of, it caught my attention when Andy Smith mentioned it, a fellow booktuber. If you haven't checked out his channel, I would highly recommend it. But I really respect his opinion, and he did state that the Live Ship Trader was like one of his favorite series of all time. I have already read the Farseer trilogy 5 or 6 years ago now, so I might brush up on the Farseer trilogy before I dive into that. I know they take place in the same realm, but they're loosely connected, so it's not absolutely necessary from my understanding. But this book and series comes with high praise, so I'm definitely looking forward to get to that. If not in February, it'll definitely be on my list for the beginning of March. So that's what my TBR is looking like. Maybe it's a little ambitious now that I have it all set out in front of me and have talked at length about each one. But I'm reading at a pretty good pace right now, so I'm fairly confident I can get through most. I think the one that might not happen is probably Ship of Magic, but the other ones I'm feeling good about. So let me know if you guys have read some of those books on my list, or if they're on your TBR as well. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I will catch you guys in the next one.